again, and welcome to my annual roundup of favourite horror films from the year. Now, you may recall that I wasn't able to do a video last year, and the channel has been very quiet for a while now, but I'm happy to say that although the world's still a bit crazy out there, things are starting to get back to normal a bit more here at the Realm of Horror, so I'm hoping I'll be back to posting random videos again in the new year. Now, as always, I've tried to keep this list to under 10 titles, and these are based on whether or not I personally enjoyed them, as opposed to how good other people think they are. But anyway, the first in my list of films of the year is Tremors Shrieker Island, the seventh and apparently final film of the Tremors franchise, which sees Michael Gross's Burt Gummer character pressed back into service when the Graboids overrun a hunting resort on a tropical island. Some good practical effects and a good supporting cast, including B-movie actor Richard Brake and Napoleon Dynamite's John Heder. Now, this was no cinematic masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but I've always had a huge soft spot for the Tremors films, and I found this one to be hugely entertaining. Next, something a bit more commercial. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The third Conjuring film, and I think the eighth in the whole franchise that includes the Annabelle and Nun movies. Now, this one's another fictionalised account of a case that was investigated by the infamous Warrens, this time revolving around the 1981 murder trial of a person who claimed that he was possessed by a demon at the time of the murders. Now, if you've seen the other films, then you know what to expect with the various supernatural shenanigans that go on, and whilst this may only bear a passing similarity to the real-life events that inspired it, this was still an entertaining enough story. Next up we have A Quiet Place Part 2. Emily Blunt and her family battle more alien creatures that hunt by sound, whilst her daughter, aided by Cillian Murphy, goes off to find a refuge that may help end the alien menace. Really enjoyed this. There were some very tense moments, along with some nail-biting action scenes, and some good performances that show you just how good or bad people can be when it comes to surviving in times of crisis. I'm also pleased to say that it looks like there's going to be a third film, so I shall eagerly look forward to that. Next up we have Spiral, yet another follow-up in the Saw franchise, with comedian Chris Rock cast against type in a straight role for a change, in which he plays a detective that's trying to track down a jigsaw copycat killer. Now, I've always found the Saw films to be a bit of a hit-and-miss affair. Now, I like the earlier films, but I felt that the quality of the later sequels nosedived after Part 4, with them being little more than just pointless cash-ins with little regard to the plot. Now, I'm pleased to say, though, that this is a much better film, with some good gory kills and an excellent performance by Chris Rock, in which he plays a troubled but likeable detective who's been ostracised by his fellow cops for doing the right thing. Something a bit more original now, or possibly not. Malignant. A troubled woman who's having nightmarish visions of people getting murdered discovers that the killings have been happening in real life. A very bizarre whodunit in which we're certain that the film's main character couldn't be the one that's doing the killings, but can't understand how she could have known about them either. Which boasts some excellent gore scenes and a police station massacre that puts the Terminator to shame. The finale, where everything is finally revealed, was certainly very bizarre, which I won't spoil for you, but overall this was a very enjoyable film with some interesting kill scenes. Yet another sequel now. Don't Breathe Part 2. The old blind guy from the first film returns, who has taken a young girl under his wing after she was orphaned in a nearby house fire years earlier, but things get messy when she's abducted by an armed gang and he's forced to go on the offensive. As with the first film, this is one of those stories where we soon discover that there's no clear good or bad guys in this, and it becomes ambiguous part of the way through as to which side is actually worse than the other, as it seems this girl's parents may not actually be dead, but the blind guy's reasons for sheltering her may have been preferable to the alternative. The plot was a bit far-fetched in places, but overall I really enjoyed this, which was equally as messed up as the first. And that brings me to our final title on the list, which is my film of the year, which for this year is Antlers. A slow burn horror set in a remote town in Oregon, where a young schoolboy appears to be keeping something nasty locked up in the attic. A very slow-moving and atmospheric horror that takes its time to slowly reveal what is actually going on in this young lad's home. Some good performances showing some of the well-meaning townsfolk trying to help as they think he might be being abused, only to discover that there's something much worse going on in his home. I really like this film. Again, it is a bit of a slow burner though, so don't expect an action movie, but it's definitely worth a watch. Anyway, that's it for this year. There were probably other films that I might have included had I been able to see them. So if there's a film you think that I've missed out, be sure to tell us in the comment section below, and also be sure to let me know what you thought of the films I picked out for this year's selection. Before I sign off though, I would like to give a shout out to a film that I've been involved with called VIDEOSHOP Tales of Terror, which will hopefully be coming out in 2022. This is one of those anthology horror films which features 6 short stories which all revolve around an old video rental store. It's being produced by a friend of mine, Sing Lal, who's involved with the Horror on Sea Festival, and the main wraparound story is being directed by Alex Churchyard, who also did Ice Cream at the Beach. I'll put some links up in the channel bar below so you can find out more. I've actually got a very brief role in the film as one of the VideoShop customers, so be sure to look out for that. I'm currently working on a behind the scenes video about my time on the set, which I'll be uploading to my channel shortly, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, that's all for now. Please be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. So, until the next video,